This
So,
conference will now be recorded.
Sorry.
okay, so we will be recording this conference so we could access this again later if some of the informations that you want. So when it comes to food, there are certain aspects of nutrition, and Ayurveda has a very comprehensive and very in detail outlook when it comes to nutrition and how to understand your health. Now, let us understand. There is this analogy or a story. If you want to cut something, before you cut something, you have to make sure your knife is sharp enough to cut that. If your knife is not sharp enough, what happens is your ability to cut whatever it is, it can take longer than it usually can take. So the more sharper the knife, much easier and faster you can cut whatever it is. And the same is with our digestion. In Ayurveda, before we enter nutrition, Ayurveda talks about how strong is your digestion. No matter how good the food, how easy to digest the food is, if your digestion is weak, it is not going to make any sense. But if your digestion is really strong, if your digestion is fantastic, even if you eat something unhealthy, even if you eat something that is very difficult to digest, that there is a possibility you could still process it. So the foundation of good nutrition is healthy digestion. And the same way, digestion also depends on what you eat. So it's like chicken and egg. However, before we enter the topic of nutrition, we will discuss what are the factors that helps to improve your digestion. Now, we all have hunger. Our human Homo sapiens, which the species that we are, about 200,000 years old, and we are programmed in such a way that when you eat, you feel safe. When I eat more and I feel I have energy so that I can survive. See, the basic function of our brain and our human body is to make sure that we live long enough. You take any animal, if you try to kill it, it will always find a way to escape and survive. And the same is with our human body. And we all have this needs for survival, and survival, one of the ways to make sure and make us feel safe that we are going to survive and we are going to live long is accessibility to food, and if we are able to have food. So the moment there is no food or lack of food, due to our ancestral patterns, I mean, we have been programmed in such a way that only if you are able to eat food, you are going to feel safe and you will live long enough to do all the things that you can do. It could be following your passion, it could be taking care of your family, whatever it is. Longevity and survival and living long is one of the basic needs of our human body, or anything that is created by nature's intelligence. With that problem, okay, that is not a problem, that is something that is inbuilt in us. It's like a factory setting, that our need to eat and to save energy. But today, as we made food supply so abundant, we don't hear anything much about famine, or even if there is some food supply that is short, it is not something that is happening for a long time. Even the hunger that is happening, it is not a big deal. It's actually mismanagement of the economics that we have today. But the food supply is so abundant today than any other time in the history of mankind. With that comes a problem, which is our need of eating food and feeling safe is still there. At the same time, a lot of food supply is so abundant today. So this makes it quite difficult for us to, to bring into the discipline. When should I stop eating? When should I eat more? This ability, should I eat more or should I eat less? This is something that we have to retrain our uh, brain and our mind. Now, how do we bring about with that? uh, what is happening is, today the food industry is taking complete advantage of that. Now, when I say the food industry is taking complete advantage of that, it is always triggering our need for food and safety and security. And today, food is one of the most powerful non-prescription drug for depression or anxiety. The moment people are feeling tired, or not just tired, even if they're feeling not so energetic with emotions, immediately chocolate or sugar gives a sense of safety. And sugar is something that is always helping us to make us feel, okay, I have enough energy to survive for the rest of the day. If you take how the human beings were living about a few thousand years ago, the moment we have access to food, we were programmed, we have to eat a lot. We have to eat as much as possible, because once we eat as much as possible, we don't know when the next supply of food is going to happen. We don't know when the next wild animal or some animal that we can kill and eat, or when the next harvest is going to come. So because of that pattern that we have inherited, eating food is something that is making us feel good emotionally. Now we don't have that problem because food is so abundant. So we have to reprogram. I don't have to eat, like just like when the coronavirus happened, people are running for toilet papers because they don't know when the next supply is going to happen. Even not just with that, with any supply, we don't know when the next supply is going to happen. So we have the tendency to hold on to our when the next supply is going to happen, we don't know. So we try to hold as much as possible. Now, same we have to understand is also the way our body is behaving. If we are irregular in our eating habits, when we eat in a different timings, there is a tendency for our body to hold on to the food we eat as fat. Having too much fat in our body is like, you have lots of money in your bank account, but you don't know what is your ATM pin card. So you are not nowhere you are able to withdraw the money. It's just you just know that there is a lot of money in your bank account, but you are never able to use it. And same is with our body fat. Body fat is like reserve energy of whatever food we are eating. Now, how is this happening? Now we have to understand in Ayurveda, eating on time and being hungry and then you eat, these are two schools of philosophy. However, can you all hear me? I see my
Yeah,
camera is
we can hear you. We can hear you.
okay. I see my camera is lost.
Yeah,
Katarina, my
but
camera, yes, yes. So uh, eating on time, and you also, there is a school of thought that says that when you eat after you're hungry, these are two aspects that we keep hearing. However, we need to understand, when you get hungry on time and then when you eat on time, that is when your metabolism and your digestion is fantastic. Digestion is not something that can happen to you once in a week or once in a day, or digestion is not something you keep it. It is something that shows, it's a result of your lifestyle. It is a result of your daily choice. I mean, when people come to Sitaram, I always give them an analogy. We have gardeners coming and working every day. Even during the lockdown, we have the gardeners, because gardens is something that makes us feel relaxed and calm. And gardeners work every day. They are not someone who comes once in a year or 2 weeks in a year and they do something and leave. It is a relentless daily. They every day they take out the weed, they water the plants, they make sure there are no other animals that are coming and disturbing the scenario of the plants. So this is a daily ritual that we have to follow up. Now, when it comes to those aspects, how can I get hungry on time? This is one thing people say, I don't get hungry at all. In order to be hungry on time, we have to start with eating when we become hungry. And so when you eat when you get hungry, that is the beginning step of this. So when people say, oh, no, even then I don't feel hungry, it's just a pattern that they have been eating a lot of unhealthy food. They have been eating a lot of food that are heavy to digest. Now, when we understand what are the food that are heavy to digest, we have to consider few things. Any food that is sticky in nature. When you say sticky, it is like a glue. Now, how to understand if the food is sticky? If you, after you have the food or after you cook, if you go to wash your plates, if you have to put a lot more detergent to wash the leftovers, that means that food is quite sticky. This is just a common sense. Another thing, when you chew it, you realize you have to chew more to break it down. That is quite hard and heavy to digest food. So we have to start with something that is light to digest. So light to digest, we can start with something that is semi-solid in nature. Like when people fall sick, they in India we eat a lot of rice soup. Like in Europe, they eat a lot of mashed potatoes. These are something, or soup is something that is very easy to digest. So if you're having difficulty to get hunger regularly, start with easy to digest food. So when you start with easy to digest food, your tendency of your metabolism and your digestion takes an uplift. In Ashtanga Hridayam, one of the textbooks of Ayurveda, it is mentioned, when your Agni is low, Agni is, if you literally translate, it shows like it's fire. But when your Agni is low, what it means is Agni is the ability of the body to convert the food you eat into energy that you can use. So when your Agni or your digestive fire is low, it is like you, when there is a mild spark, if you are alive, there is definitely a digestive fire. Just like you put small sticks to catch the fire, and then you put bigger sticks, and then you put a wooden log, and then the fire becomes stronger. Same way, you eat something that is light to digest, and then slowly you pick it up. Now, we started with easy to digest food. So when you start with easy to digest food, what is like people asking, what should I eat? The same importance should be given to what should I eliminate from my diet. So once you eliminate the bad ones, then when you add on to the easy to digest one, that is the first step, how to bring back our digestion. And when we talk what is easy to digest, that is also the way we are also programmed to live longer and healthier. See, food is information of nature's intelligence. Just like you put your mobile phone to charge, same way our body is charged. One of the ways our body is charged with the food that we are consuming. So whatever is going to go inside your mouth is going to decide how you are going to think, how your energy is going to be, how your immune system is going to be, and how the quality of your life is also going to be. See, you can have a great car, you buy a fantastic new car with a great engine and horsepower. You don't want to let the car with the beer. You want to make sure you put the right fuel and you can drive it so that you are able to enjoy the benefits of having an automobile. Same is with our body. Whatever you feed it, be extremely mindful. Just like you are so mindful what goes inside your car, we have to be mindful what goes inside our mouth. Whatever you let inside these two openings, that is going to decide how you're going to be. It's like the immigration office. Once you, whatever is in the immigration, it will decide, should I let him inside or not? But once you stop from here, then what happens is you make your digestion much easier. So we spoke about understanding why it is important to become hungry on time, and then when you eat on time. Now, we have been programmed to eat 3 times a day. Now, there are some people who say that no matter how much I diet, I am in no way able to lose my weight. The reason is not that they are God made them in such a way that they will never be able to lose weight. This has nothing to do with genetics, or it's just the pattern, and they are trying to lose weight super fast. When you try to lose weight just for a outcome for a certain period of time, like for example, some people come for panchakarma and say, after 2 months, one of my best friend is getting married, so I have to show up for that wedding in my best shape, and I have to put the best costumes, so I have to look good. So usually what happens, they diet like they are not accessible to food, they work out too much, and they get wasted. Their muscle loss is going to happen, the body fat will go out, and they go through intense detox, and then they look good for the wedding or for the party that is going to happen. They look good in the dress, and in that party lot of food will be there, and they think, I earned to eat as much as I want now because I struggled a lot. And from then on they will eat and thinking that their body is not going to hold on to any fat, and after they eat, that fat is going to stay in the body for much longer than they cannot lose, and then they realize, I lost it. Even if I lose it, I'm going to gain it back faster. This, I lost it, I'm going to gain it back even more faster. It is something, what they're saying is, at one point of time I followed healthy diet, and then I went back to an unhealthy patterns. It is not that their body is designed in such a way that once they lose weight they're going to put it back again. The reality is, your body is always a mirror of your habits. See, some people say, I eat very little, but I don't know from where the fat is coming. See, this fat is not coming via airdrop or Bluetooth. It is only coming from what is going inside our mouth. So when people give that excuse, it's a way to satisfy, okay, I can continue my unhealthy eating habits and I can sustain that. Anyone who is able to give themselves some little bit of time. When I say little bit of time, if you want to get back to good weight, if you want to get back to good digestion, if you want to get back to good metabolism, and also with your emotions, give yourself at least 6 months time without expecting any immediate results. Now, when I say don't expect any immediate results, what I'm saying is, just because you did not eat much or you are not binge eating for 1 week doesn't mean that your body is going to show it up immediately. It might take more than that. And when people say, I tried it for 2 weeks and nothing happened, it's like saying, I tried to boil the water at 70 degrees Celsius and it was not vaporizing. Only if it reaches 100 degrees, it is going to vaporize. Same as with our body, we all have different metabolism. Another thing that I have noticed, people coming, see, I used to practice with my father in a Ayurveda clinic where the local Indian community would come for consultations. So when they come for consultations, I'm yet to see a local Indian person coming for a consultation and asking, can you tell me what is my dosha? Am I vata or pitta or kapha? But when I went abroad, people were so fanatically obsessed about finding out, I want to know, am I pitta or am I vata or am I kapha? And this used to wonder why people were asking this. Then I realized some Indian doctors went abroad and they did not have the legal permission to practice like an Ayurvedic doctor. So they have to, Ayurvedic practice is not just about writing the Ayurvedic medicines. It is much more than, it's also a holistic healing. You are giving them a lifestyle changes. You are giving them the diet. All of this belongs to a part of being an Ayurvedic doctor. So when they went abroad, these doctors, they didn't have the legal permission to be a medical doctor with the Ayurvedic background, but they reduced themselves to the ability of lifestyle coaching and nutrition coaching. So in some places, what happened was they started classifying people. Okay, you are vata, you are pitta, and you are kapha. So if you're kapha, you eat this. If you're pitta, you eat this. If you're vata, you eat this. But you will never see such a thing if you come to India and you go to an authentic Ayurvedic clinic. You will rarely see that. Now, the reason is in Ayurvedic textbooks like in Ashtanga Hridayam, in the beginning, we are not told that you have to first assess the prakriti of the patient and then you treat. We are told, get his habits, get what are his lifestyle, and then look at the doshas of the disease that he's presenting or the symptoms that he's presenting. We are not taught how to understand. Okay, once you understand if he's pitta or kapha or dosha, only then you have to treat. That actually is not the way an Ayurvedic doctor is taught how to practice. It is something that has came after a Western influence into Ayurveda. And if you take some of the textbooks like Charaka Samhita or Ashtanga Hridayam, you will not see this aspect also. Now, why I say this? Because some people, when they put the questionnaire, they say, do you have difficulty losing weight? Or do you have difficulty putting on weight? So that means, okay, if I'm having difficulty to put on weight, I am Vata. If I'm having difficulty to put on, lose weight, then I'm Kapha. So because I'm Kapha, it is difficult for me to lose weight. So they justify themselves for the rest of their life. It's like people saying, I belong to this zodiac sign. So that is why I am behaving like this. It's like they're justifying their body's behavior that way. See, apart from our height, the color of the skin, certain colors of the eyes, and the physical bony structures of our body, many things in our body keep changing. See, the analogy for our body in Ayurveda is told like a river. You can never step into the same river twice. The river keeps flowing. The water is ever changing. Same is with our body. Now, this when somebody says that you are kapha because you are having too much body fat, what that person is saying is that person indulged in a lifestyle activity where that person's body is trained now to hold on to the body fat. That's it. It has nothing. There is a possibility some people could have childhood obesity. If the mother had diabetes at the time of conception, or if there is any hormonal changes, then there is a possibility when the child is born there could be overweight, or the weight of the child could be more than 3 kilograms. So that could be a tendency of kapha to come over, tendency of the kapha to be holding on to the body. In the same way, that is not something that is the judgment for the rest of the life of that kid. If that kid changes the lifestyle, it will change. So according to your body's your body is a reflection of your lifestyle and your habits, and your lifestyle and your habit is something that can be changed with consistent regular practice. So once you change your habits, your body is going to change. Once your body is going to change, you're going to feel better, and that's the way to get rid of your unwanted disease. See, in Ayurveda, after talking, the first chapter is about the introduction of all the chapters. The second chapter starts with the daily rituals for a healthy living being, like a daily rituals for a healthy human being. Now, when we talk about daily rituals, when it talks about digestion, it says that you have to get up in the morning after you digest the previous night's meal. Now, when we say digesting the previous night meal, it means that you have to eat early before you go to sleep, at least 2 hours to 3 hours. If you manage to have your dinner and lighter the dinner, it will improve your digestion. Now, people think nutrition is all about I have to learn how to cook, because definitely cooking is one of the best talents you can have when we have such a dining out and takeaway culture that we have. But more than that, there are some factors, no matter how healthy the food is, unless you schedule your eating habits, that can never be replaced by however healthy the food is going to be. So this scheduling that I'm talking about is, if you are able to eat your dinner earlier, at least 2 to 3 hours before you go to sleep, and if you can go to sleep at least by 11 o'clock, not later than 10:30 or 11 o'clock, and then there is a high possibility you can get up in the morning after the previous night's digestion. And that is why we call it breakfast. Like there is a fast between the dinner and the morning meal. So this fasting, you're breaking it, and that is why it is called as breakfast. And that is kind of like an intermittent fasting. You are having a 12 hours, you are not eating at all. And that is a fantastic period when our body is doing its inert detox. See, when we go to sleep, when we sleep deeply, there are lots of plaques that are formed in our brain that are being released, and our liver goes to a complete cleanse program for our blood. See, the duty of liver is what? It is to purify the blood. And if we tend to overeat during the night time, the functioning of our liver becomes under efficient, and the same with our brain. So if you are getting up heavy in the morning, that's a sign that the food you're eating at night is quite heavy. So, and also maybe you're going to sleep quite late. There is no such thing as a night owl. Night owl is a programmed pattern. You are programming yourself. I am a night owl. It says that I am finding it difficult to get up in the morning. I keep myself awake at night. So in that aspect, I would recommend people going to sleep at least by not later than 10:30 or 11 o'clock is one of the foundations of a healthy digestive system. And on top of that, a light dinner at least 2 to 3 hours before your dinner, before you go to sleep, is a way to enhance your digestion. So this is one thing. Now, when we get up in the morning, in Ayurveda, the morning time is called as the kapha kala. The kapha kala means that is when the kapha is at its best. So when we say kapha is at its best, that means the mucus production in our body is quite high. See, when you get up in the morning and when you go to the fields, you'll see the mist, you'll see the cloud. That is when the kapha is high in your region also. So when the kapha is too high, if you can work out or do some movements in your body, you break down, and your tendency to break down the body fat is very high. If you are doing some exercise and you have an issue of losing body fat, the best time to do is 7 o'clock or in the morning time. And if you don't want to lose weight, you want to maintain your body weight, but you're doing exercise because you love to exercise and you want to maintain it, the best time is in the evening time. But if you want to lose the body fat during the kapha time, when you do the workout, your tendency of the body to break down the fat is much higher, and it instantly wakes you up. It improves your digestion. See, today, the you read in many of the American articles, they say that sitting is the new smoking, which we all must be doing right now. But it is not that sitting is the new smoking. We have programmed ourselves not to move much like our ancestors, and on top of that, the food supply is way abundant today. So when we are not moving and when we are consuming a lot, our body is going through a shock that it is not having enough energy to digest. So movement is also a very important aspect of you improving your digestion and your metabolism. So that is why getting up in the morning after you digest the previous night's meal, and also in Ayurveda, it is told that if you get up, the first habit of a healthy human being is waking up before the sunrise. Okay, I think at that time Ayurveda was written by an author in the tropical climate, because here you see the sunrise and sunset is almost the same. But if you go to the northern hemisphere, sunrise can shift depending on the seasons. But according to me, what I've understood, if you can get up before 7 o'clock, or at least between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, some people get up at 5 o'clock, and that is considered to be one of the most creative periods when our nervous system can bring out the best creative ideas. So if you can manage to get up early in the morning before 7 o'clock, that also has a huge impact on your ability to digest the food. Remember, it is not the food you eat that matters, it is how you digest that matters. And on top of that, when you eat healthy, that is where we have the formula for a fantastic longevity with good immunity and vitality. Now, we spoke about getting up on time, we spoke about exercising in the morning, and then we need to talk about elimination. Now, some people tell me, okay, they are vata in their prakriti, or the vata is high, so they go to toilet once in a while. Now, when I ask some of my patients, how often do you go to toilet? They say that I go once or twice a day. Some people say I feel I'm constipated, but they go to toilet every day. But let me make you understand, constipation is not something that you are not satisfied with your elimination. Some people consider constipation means if I'm not able to eliminate satisfactorily every day, then that means my elimination is not proper and I'm constipated, or what we call in German as Verstopfung. Constipation is something to deal with if you are not going to toilet at least, I mean, if you're going to toilet once in 3 days, and if that has been a pattern for you, then that is what we call it as constipation. And in Ayurveda, if a patient comes with going to toilet once in 3 days or more than that, our entire knowledge, we will be focusing on how to get his bowel movements regularly every day. Because if your bowel movements are not regular every day, see, whatever in a day, a healthy human being who has access to good food takes about 2 to 2.5, or even I mean, if they love to eat, if they have a huge appetite to eat, they can eat up to 3.5 kilograms of food per day, over like 3 to 4, including the snacks and everything. We are not considering the beverages or water, we are considering the food. You can take up to 2 to 2.5 kilograms of food every day, I mean, or what that goes inside your mouth. So in a day, this whatever food we are eating, the nutrients are being absorbed and the leftovers has to be eliminated. So when somebody says I'm having difficulty to go to toilet every day, there are few factors. There is a huge psychological factor associated with constipation, and also that it makes it worse when people do the dosha test and say I am vata because I'm not going to toilet. See, if you are alive and if you are going to toilet, irrespective of your frequency, if you take the proper lifestyle, if you take the proper therapy, if you take the proper medications, your bowel movements can be regulated daily. In Ayurveda, that is one of the foundations of our treatment. We regulate the bowel movements, because once the bowel movement is regulated, that completely enhances a person's not just immunity and vitality, it also enhances that person's emotions. Because when we hold on to toxins, when we hold on to the waste, our body's energy is again low. See, one of the examples that I give is, you have a car or an automobile. What if somebody keeps a tennis ball in the exhaust pipe? You will never be able to start the car, because the energy flow is not there. The waste, that is the whatever is the exhaust fume that is supposed to be released, only when that is released, you have space for the other foods to be combust and the energy to happen. The same is with our body. When our waste elimination gets better, in Ayurveda, a constipated person is called, I mean, they can have further issues of dryness in the body, their emotions become low, they have severe bloating, and they could have headaches, sinusitis, and they could have severe menstrual cramps, and also abdominal cramps once in a while, depending on the kind of food that they are eating. So how to get rid of constipation in our daily habits? One thing, go to your Google and write down, check foods that are rich in high fiber rich food. There are many varieties of food that you can get depending on the location that you are listening to this webinar from. Preferably go for plant-based high fiber food. And when you're, I mean, plant-based high fiber food, when you're able to take high fiber rich food, what happens is fiber has a solidness. So when this goes inside, you are able to eliminate food properly. Just by changing the diet and changing some of the habits, daily bowel movements is something that can be happened naturally. Now, some people have fear of using public toilets. If they have okay, we have had air hostess or flight attendants or pilots, they say that they are suffering from constipation, and they say that they are scared to use the public toilets, especially in the flight or somewhere. So they programmed and they convinced themselves, okay, this is something that I have to live for the rest of my life. No, if you have constipation, no matter at what age, what stage, This is something that can be reversed completely, and you have all the right to go to toilet every day. It's just a matter of changing your habits and also an intention that this is something I can change. And some people take laxatives like triphala, or some people take magnesium. uh, Please do understand, you don't need any laxatives. I mean, if you start taking laxatives, then it becomes a habit forming. For some people it is triphala, or some people it's magnesium. For some people it is a cigarette, or some people need a cappuccino, or some people they need a mobile phone or a paper to go. The idea is this has to be like the Pavlov's dog theory. When the bell rings and there is food and the dog starts salivating, same way, after you get up in the morning, within 1 or 1.5 hours, if you are able to eliminate the food that you consumed the previous day, that is one of the best healthy signs your body can have. Now, if you don't have that, I will just give you some few tips to do that with a healthy way. If you are using laxatives, prepare to come out of the laxative. Even if you are taking triphala, please do understand triphala is not something that you take it for going regular bowel movements. I always recommend to take triphala for 3 months period, and then you stop taking it. The purpose of taking any medicine or herbs is to stop taking it. It is not something that you take it for the rest of your life. Your food is supposed to nourish all your needs of your body. If you are depending on supplements or some medicines, even if it is herbal, make sure you stop it and you let the body decide what it is needing. Because in Ayurveda, when you as a doctor, one of the things that we always check with the patient is how connected is that person to the person's body's feedback. When I say body's feedback, some people say, no, I don't have this feeling. Some people, no matter how the pain is, they get saturated with that pain, they don't feel the pain anymore. So this connection with the body, the moment they eat something, they feel the energy shifts in the body. The moment they eat excess sugar, they feel that there is a huge mucus load that happens in their body. So if they're to bringing back to that connection is one of the purpose of our Ayurvedic treatment, like panchakarma. When you do the detox, you get in touch with your real feedback system, and your feedback system is like the GPS. It is telling you, is your body in the right habit, are you going in the right direction? But today we all are numbed with our feedback system. We are going on an autopilot. Many people don't know that what I'm eating is unhealthy because their body forgets. We are so lost in the sense organs and the gastronomical senses that we forget what our body is giving us the feedback. So coming to the constipation, after you get up in the morning, try to hydrate with warm water. And if you do not have any high blood pressure, or if you do not have tendency of holding on to body water, like some people say, especially women after their menopause, they say that I'm holding on to water in the morning, my feet is swollen. If you don't have these swellings or high levels of blood pressure, one of the very natural and organic ways to improve stimulate your peristaltic movement is you take some warm water, put some salt, drink, and massage your lower abdomen and go for a brisk walk. When we say brisk walk, walk with both hands, so that, and when you do this brisk walking, you need to put a little bit of pressure downwards. When we say downwards, you have this ability to put a little bit of pressure to the downward movement. So even when you go to the toilet, you put a downward pressure movement. So when you're able to do this downward pressure movement and go for a brisk walk after taking a sip of hot water with a pinch of salt, and maybe on the first 2 days you don't see this changing, but over time, within 2-3 weeks, maybe you can continue with your laxatives, what you're taking, but follow this habit and get rid of your laxatives and slowly come out of that. And once you regulate your bowel movements, and then when you eat on time, and when you're hungry on time, and then when you eat on time, in my observation, in many people with chronic some of the chronic issues, a lot of changes happen and a lot of healing happens in their own body. And then their ability to say no to food that is unhealthy to them comes naturally, because their body is able to find out. Today what is happening is, when people get stressed out, even though their body is not in need of any carbohydrate or starch or glucose, they still go for that because it is like a numbing factor, because their feedback system is not good. So bringing back this feedback system, we start with this: going to sleep on time, having an early dinner, and then getting up in the morning and drinking some warm water with some pinch of salt, and then cleansing it. That is another thing that will help you. And breakfast, have a light breakfast. And according to Ayurveda, we follow the sun. The midday sun is the time when our digestion is at its peak. Now, people ask me what is the right food to eat for breakfast. I mean, whatever, see, there are, again, I said, there is nothing like a universal nutrition that is good for everyone. We all differ depending on the way you are brought up. See, for me, no matter where I travel, I always look for an Indian food, or I have to look for what is vegetarian that is available. It's just the way I programmed myself. But I'm not saying if you are programmed with unhealthy food, that means your body can survive with that. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying maybe there is a particular kind of food that your body is accustomed with, and sticking to that is very good. But you need to understand, overeating is one of the dangerous habits that we can have. Overeating is just lack. It is not also lack of willpower. In some people, they say, I have difficulty to say no to food when it is too much. First thing, a research says, if you are surrounded by people who are obese, or people with too much of body weight, then there is a high possibility you will also have a tendency to put on more weight. It's just, I mean, if you are living with a person who is obese, there is 57% higher chances that you will also become obese. It's just that we become, or we love to imitate, or we are more prone to do that. So if you have this tendency of overeating, one of the best techniques that is followed, if you can check this book called Mindless Eating, it is a fantastic book which tells you how to get into healthy eating habits. One of the techniques that you can use is, get a smaller plate. Bigger the plate, we tend to eat more. But people say, no matter, even if my plate is big, I can put little less food. But there is something called a psychology. We say that, oh, the food is quite less, I ate quite less. See, eating more does not equal you're having more energy. Eating more does not mean your body is having good health. Eating more has nothing to do with that. After you have your food, you have to feel healthy, you have to feel energetic. You don't If you feel bloated, if you feel heavy, if you feel tired, if you feel lethargic, that means the food quantity is quite high, and apart from the food that you're also eating. Now, with limited time shortage, I will explain about nutrition that can be universally accepted. The more nature made food, better. The more processed food, not good for us. The more plastic that is covering it, not good for us. And the avoid junk food as much as possible. See, the junk food companies, they all are taking advantage of we human beings need to feel safe by eating food. And that is why you will see, no matter if you go, whenever I travel in German autobahn, when I look for a good restaurant, but I will see Burger King, McDonald's every few kilometers. But to find a good restaurant is so difficult. And that is what is happening. That is why so many people are sick today, because accessibility to good healthy food is so less. So we have to rewire our brain. Whenever you see that Burger King, whenever you see that artificially processed food, just like how this can create cancer, this just like you buy a cigarette packet today, you'll see the picture of a dead fetus or someone with a cancer. Same way, when you see something that is junk, that is processed, that is not healthy, just for that moment when you eat, you feel good. Later, you are processing something that is chemical, and it could be carcinogenic, or it could get into many other unhealthy issues. So the more nature made, less processed, and the more home cooked and the more fresh, it is better. See, some people say fresh food and healthy food, it is quite expensive. But if you eat that, you will be smart enough to earn more to have that. And people say buying junk food is much cheaper. But if you eat that, your energy to earn and your revenue generating capacity will be less, that you will be stuck there. So in order to change that, we have to also change our mindset. So let us invest in good food. Let us get into habits. Cooking is one of the best habits that we can learn today. If you are not good at cooking, at least be with someone who are good at cooking, or employ someone, or find a way. See, whatever you want, we will find a way to get it. Whatever we don't want, we will justify how not to get it. So make it a point. Eating healthy and eating healthy food is one of the best gifts you can give to your body and also the people who love you. Because if you are not healthy, the people who you love you, you're also going to make them upset, because if your health is not bad, you're going to depend on them in the later stages. So that is one aspect of healthy food. And then for breakfast, eat light, and for dinner, you have the luxury to eat heavy. Now, Ayurveda says midday sun, when the sun is at its peak, is when our digestion is its best. So if you tend to eat more, that is okay. And dinner should be the most lightest. And if you have a tendency of snacking, avoid cookies, avoid sugar, avoid heavy, especially cookies and coffee. If you have a history of acidity, please avoid that, because coffee and cookies with a lot of sugar, it makes your acidity even worse, and then you are forced to take omeprazole or antacids, and taking antacids will only make your belly huge and you will have bloating constantly, and that is also not good for your heart health, because when there is too much of gas that is formed, it creates a upward movement of something, and which is not healthy for your overall digestive tract and also for the heart health. So try to avoid unhealthy snacking, rather go for some healthy fruits. And if you say that, okay, the food, the where I'm going to eat, I don't have access to healthy food, try to cook food and take it with you. And at your home also, make it very difficult. See, there was a study done. What makes people healthy eaters and unhealthy eaters? Is it something to do with their willpower? And what they found out, willpower has nothing to do with the people who are disciplined and not so disciplined. Whereas people who are disciplined, they have the same willpower as people who are not so disciplined. But the only difference is people who are disciplined use the willpower to avoid circumstances where they will be triggered to get into unhealthy eating habits. For example, if you have a habit of stocking unhealthy food, there is a high possibility we will be tricked to eat that. It will start with one and it just keeps going. And if you enter a restaurant which has a beautiful buffet, there is a high possibility you will be forced to try everything. Rather, if you go to a restaurant where you can have something less or little, that way your ability to use your willpower, you don't have to fight to, oh, I don't have to eat much, I don't have to eat much. But when you go to a buffet, you're always programmed, okay, I have to eat that, there is so much food I can eat now, maybe for the next meal I will not eat that much. And that is avoiding circumstances where you will be tricked to eat more and unhealthy is one of the aspects of people who are eating healthy. So if you store food that are unhealthy, if you store food that are processed, junk foods, cookies, chocolates, try to eliminate all that from your home. Make it difficult to have access to unhealthy food, and make access to healthy food so easily available. Like, get a bigger boxes where you can have these healthy food. And if you have cookies, if you have sugar, if you have all the kinds of processed food, make sure you don't buy that from your supermarket when you're going. And always try to invest your time in farmers market and go to the fresh produce of your supermarket. And for a healthy eating habit is a mindset, and it is something that we have to invest our time and our energy, and also we have to make sure that we are choosing the right food from its source. And once we get into that, then a good healthy eating habit is something that is natural. And few more aspects that I would like to talk about. Now, people ask me what kind of food. I am pitta, I am kapha, I am vata. What kind of food should I eat? Now, first of all, we have to understand in Ayurveda, every food is kapha, because kapha is the only dosha that has a form. Vata does not have a form. I mean, it does not have a physical form. You see, wind and space, it does not have any form. We know there is wind only when you see that, you hear the wind hitting you, or when you see the leaves of the tree are moving, but you never see the wind. You cannot see a form of a wind. But food has a form. That is why it is kapha in nature. Now, when we talk about kapha, if the food is heavy to digest, the kapha is more. If the food is light to digest, the kapha is less. And when the kapha is less, we tend to call it vata. And usually the type of food we call it vata food is, it is actually a name given to food that could potentially create bloating in your stomach. And technically that is not accurate. It is just that the food that is light to digest is vata in nature. So let us say you have too much of body fat. So avoiding food that will increase your kapha is your key, which means sugar, gluten, dairy, processed meat, heavily digested food. All these things must be avoided. So what can they go through? Go for green leafy vegetables, avocados, broccoli, all these healthy to digest food. These are, and also high fiber rich food. In Ayurveda, one of the therapies for losing excess body fat is you should eat that is fulfilling, but at the same time not making your body fat. So eating food that are not so heavy, but at the same time you feel full. That is the key to cheat yourself. Another technique that we follow in our place, Sitaram Beach Retreat, is when people say, I want to lose fat, but at the same time, if I feel hungry, I get anxious, so I cannot stand my hunger, so I have to keep eating something. But usually what that person says is they have access to unhealthy food, so whenever they feel anxious, they take this unhealthy food. But what we do here, because we have a surrounding where the possibility of having an unhealthy food is so difficult, so we give them access to 5 to 6 times a day to eat healthy food, which is could be fruits, which could be boiled vegetables, or it could be rice soup or some kind of soup, or it could be mashed potatoes. So if you're having difficulty to lose weight, even if you're having difficulty to put on weight, you can follow this 5 to 6 times a diet. When you follow this 5 to 6 times food, you are not eating to fulfill your hunger, you are eating to cheat your hunger. It's like after you eat the food, you feel, oh, I still can eat a lot of food. That feeling is so important, and when you're able to stop at that time, that is one of the best talents, and that is the best antidote for overweight or excess fat in our body. And another thing, if the food is spicy in nature, it can increase your pitta. So if you have the tendency of heartburn, acidity, or acid reflux, avoid sugar, avoid spicy food, and especially don't take food that are rich in sugar in empty stomach. If you take food that are rich in, maybe you can take some light fruits. Fruits do have sugar, but I'm talking about the refined white sugar, or the sugar that you get in a lot of desserts, these kind of food. If you take it in empty stomach, that also in the chocolates, if you take that, that can increase your acidity. So that is one thing. Another chart that I recommend is, if you can follow this alkaline food chart, this is something that I recommend. And you can go through this book, mindless eating. And also one book I recommend, one of my friend, Dana Shwan, she has written a book in Ayurveda. That is one book I highly recommend, which has a lot of incorporation of Ayurvedic digestion and the rituals, and also some of the foods that can be taken. Now we can go for questions because we are running out of time.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Vignesh. So yeah, if there's some questions, now might be the time to just write them down here in the chat so I can refer further. Dr. Vignesh, in the meantime, because I saw one question coming up, and maybe that's again because you mentioned it a couple of times. Triphala, what exactly is it, and how does it work, or what does it do for us?
Can you write the name of Dana Schwann's book also, because it's in German? So
yes.
And just see, Triphala is a great antioxidant. It has Haritaki, but I don't recommend Triphala for a long-term use. If you are taking Triphala for a long-term use, especially the powder format, there is one of the ingredients of Triphala is Haritaki. Triphala is such a fantastic drug. It is an anti-infective therapy. It's also a mild antibiotic in nature. It improves your eyesight. It is very rich in vitamin C. It has a lot of rich vitamin antioxidants, and also it improves your digestion. But taking it for a longer period, I mean more than 3 months or 4 months, it will be a habit forming something, and later, without taking Triphala, people are saying they are finding it difficult to go to toilet. So that is why I talk about Triphala. When you take Triphala, make sure you don't take it more than 2 or 3 months, and then take a break for about another 3 to 6 months, and then you can consider that.
Yes.
The name of the book is Ashtanga Hridayam, but that is in Sanskrit, but there are some English translations available for that.
Okay, so one can just
And
look
then
it up.
there is a question, does chocolate produce ama? See, dark chocolate is something, there are many good, it produces a lot of good therapies for us. I mean, it's also a good brain food. And women during the menstrual cycle, if they are having pain, taking dark chocolate helps them. But if you're taking chocolate to come out of your anxiety, and if you're taking it regularly, then it can produce a lot of ama. Rather, if you're taking a chocolate once in a week or once in 2 weeks, and if this is not something that you're taking it on a regular basis, then it's absolutely fine. See, okay, now there is a question on I am only smoking when I would like to stop. Are there any Ayurvedic help I can use? See, when it comes to smoking, see, what a person says, I am finding it difficult to quit smoking. What that person is saying is, I am not able to find a healthy way to deal with my anxiety, or I am not able to find a healthy way to deal with my emotions when I get hyper. So it is not that you can quit smoking just like that. Never try your willpower to quit smoking. Rather, set an intention. I wish to quit smoking. And on top of that, every time you quit smoking, keep asking yourself, is this something good? And what you do is make it so difficult to get access to your cigarettes. And on top of that, whenever you smoke, make it a point, I am indulging in some activity that is cancerous to me and that is not healthy for me. What I'm doing is very harmful for my own body. In spite of this, I am choosing to smoke. By saying it out, we are programming ourselves, okay, this is not something I can continue with. See, the more you monitor your, see what is happening, a smoker, every time you smoke, if the symptoms of cancer appears, people will quit smoking immediately. But it's like the frog in a boiling water. Over time it goes, and suddenly, there is a stage that happens, you cannot go back. So in order to do that, every time you smoke, make it really clear that what you're doing is something that is very dangerous and harmful for your body. And don't stop there, continue your smoking. But after a few times, your brain will start saying, should I continue this? This is not healthy for me. Just like the way you tricked yourself to smoking, you trick yourself to come out of it. And smoking is a trained pattern. It is something people do it because of peer pressure. And when you see that people around you are smoking, so you also want to do that, and then becomes a habit forming. And people smoke because when they smoke, they take the breathing from their abdomen, and when they breathe deeply, they feel relaxation. So if you can start doing pranayama every day, and in Sitaram, what we do is we make it so difficult for them to smoke. We tell them you have to go out of the place and whether you have to stand and smoke. And every time they do this and we make it difficult for them, we take the cigarettes with them and we tell them, come and ask me whenever you want to smoke. So they have to come and ask. So every time they do this, oh, I have to go and do that. I have to go and do that. So make it really difficult for you to access the cigarettes that way. And then tell yourself, this is not something that I look forward, and I wish to sincerely get rid of this smoking, and I respect my body. And then slowly you will come out of that. And how many AAA tablets should one take and when? See, this is not something I can tell it for a universal formula that everyone can take AAA. In general, if you take one tablet a day, but if you're having constipation, then don't take it as a lifelong drug. This is not good. If you're having constipation, I would recommend you get into healthy eating habits, high fiber rich food, make sure you're drinking enough water, and then you can consider taking AAA. What other questions? What do you recommend for children concerning food and spices? One thing that I highly recommend, all the chocolates, if you are storing it at your home, please get rid of that. And one of the healthy fruits that I recommend, dark raisins. If you can make a tea out of dark raisins and give your children, it is anti-worm. It helps to kill the worms in the kid. It improves their immune system, and their digestion will get better. And if they have hyperactivity, that will also reduce that. Take some dark raisins, boil it in water, and put some honey and give it to them. And give them lots of fresh food, natural food, plant-based food. And if you're giving them meat, make sure you're giving more of boiled meat rather than fried or processed meat. I'm having extreme problems with sugar, chocolate, and so on. I can quit sugar the whole day, but I will wake up in the middle of night and need to take sugar to sleep again. What would you suggest? You can start with honey first, and try to get forest honey and avoid white processed sugar. And honey, you can start with honey and then slowly come out of it. And if somebody is saying that at the night they have to take sugar to go to sleep, it's just that they are they need a good detox for their body. In Ayurveda, what we recommend them was first to do a viresanam or dushvel or purgation, but I don't recommend it at there. But other things, you can try some water only fasting for 1 or 2 days or one of the meals. You could try fasting for the lunch time, and for dinner time what you have is a nice soup, and that will help you to come out of this. Okay, nursing time, I need a lot of sleep and feel tired often. See, one thing with nursing time, I highly recommend taking Shatavari. In Ayurveda, we have this thing called as Shatavari. Taking that will help. And also we recommend taking Danvandaram Gulika, but I don't know if it is available in German internet market for Ayurveda, but I will just type this. This is excellent for nursing, but don't take it for all of, this is not something that is applicable for everyone, but this is something that I highly recommend. And we spoke about Ashwagandha. So regarding Ashwagandha, what was the question?
How often you can take it?
Okay, see, Ashwagandha, yes, and
if it's recommended for Vata types, actually.
Okay, again, this
Whom is it
Vata
recommended?
type. See, this concept of dosha, maybe the next webinar we will discuss about why the concept of understanding dosha is so confusing for many Westerners, because it is having a wrong foundation. So maybe one webinar series we will talk about what it means to understand your dosha. And when somebody says, is ashwagandha good for Vata type, what I am assuming is they are having anxiety issues or low energy. Ashwagandha helps to reduce anxiety. It is a great immunity booster, antioxidant, and for people who are having irritable bowel syndrome, I highly recommend ashwagandha. People who are having painful menstruation, also I recommend ashwagandha. And people who are having tendency of depression, I recommend ashwagandha. But if you have constipation, if you are having difficulty going to toilet every other day, then I recommend to reduce the dosage of ashwagandha.
Okay, I think one last question with regards to enhancing.
Fruit extract is fine.
One last question with regards to enhance the sleeping quality when waking up after 3 hours regularly. Do you have a recommendation for that?
Can you repeat that again? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Enhancing, how to enhance our sleeping quality if you wake up regularly during the night. Is there anything else you can recommend?
Okay, so what can help to enhance sleeping quality when waking up after 3 hours regularly? So in such conditions, ashwagandha could help. One thing that we recommend is application of coconut oil in your hands, in your bregma, and on your sole of your feet. And when you rub it, there should be a mild warmth that happens. And another thing that you can do is before you go to sleep, apply some oil on your lower abdomen and keep a hot water there. Just like some women, when they have painful menstruation, they keep a hot water bottle there. Same way you do that. So when you keep hot water in your lower abdomen and you put oil on your hands and on your feet, you are sending a signal to your nervous system, I can relax, there is nothing to worry. So the sleep can be quite strong and deep. That is one thing. And avoid taking too much of water during evening time. Reduce water intake, especially after 6 o'clock.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Vignesh. This was really very, very interesting once again. So I would suggest that everyone who, because I see that some suggestions are coming up, please just write down what else you are interested in, because Dr. Vignesh and I are thinking about maybe doing this again next weekend or about 2 weeks' time, we'll see. So I think the topic that you just mentioned about the doshas would actually be a great addition to the topics that we just had, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. So I think we do that next time. So for everyone who wants to stay updated on our stay home courses, please also Subscribe to our newsletters. We will inform you as soon as we plan more webinars, more live yoga sessions, meditations, and all that we are planning throughout this difficult times. Maybe Dr. Vignesh, because I'm sure that everyone's interested, like how are things at Sitaram today, and how are things in India in general? When do you think we can come and enjoy a cure in Sitaram again?
Sure. It's a government-forced holiday, so it's relaxation for the whole.
Yeah, that's true. Relaxation for entire.
Again, thank you all of you for being a part of this webinar. Looking forward for the next session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Vignesh. Bye. Okay, dann ganz herzlichen Dank an alle Zuhörer. Ich habe es gerade gesehen. Wir werden auf jeden Fall den Link, wie gesagt, auf unserer Website online stellen nach dem Wochenende, also jetzt direkt am Montag, sodass das Webinar auch nochmal angehört werden kann. Und ja, wie gesagt, herzlichen Dank fürs Dabeisein. Wir sind auch jederzeit, wie gesagt, offen für neue Themenvorschläge und versuchen, diese umzusetzen. Und ja, ansonsten bitte schauen Sie vorbei bei uns auf der Website, unser Newsletter, auf den sozialen Kanälen. Da posten wir immer weiter auch Updates bezüglich der Reisemöglichkeiten, wie sich es da verändert, aber sonst natürlich auch einfach unsere Inhalte, die weiterhin abrufbar sein werden. Ganz herzlichen Dank an alle.